Good morning. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can take your Clip Studio Paint GIFs and import them into Unreal Engine 5.7 as a usable asset. This is my second tutorial on the subject, and I can tell you that I absolutely enjoy using Clip Studio Paint, and I love how versatile it is with working with Unreal Engine. I can take all of my finished artwork and very easily bring them into Unreal Engine as sprites. And I'm going to show you really in as much detail as I can just exactly how I do that. First, of course, like you have to draw your subject. So you are seeing this time lapse of the elf being drawn in Clip Studio Paint. And then once I finish drawing the actor, if you will, in this case the elf, within Clip Studio Paint animation tools, I set up a timeline and I animate the elf uh, in a sequence that's pleasing and usable for the project that I'm working on. In this case, the elf is just kind of waving and dancing. Inside of Clip Studio Paint, and down below I have my animation timeline just to show you how I keyframed this particular piece out. So as you can see, the elf is broken down into separate layers, a body part on each layer, and these are all image material layers to make it easier to manipulate and move. And then across the timeline are all of the keyframes for where I've simply added the movements. And to manipulate this, you simply click on the piece that you want to manipulate, and then hold the control key, and then you can just slide the anchor back and forth. And of course, if you use a little target, if you will, I can move that up, and this becomes then the anchor point. So if I wanted to move this right here, then it will rotate right where I put that little cross. So I usually try and put the cross where it mostly makes sense, so that you don't have body parts just kind of randomly bending and shifting where they wouldn't normally do in real life. And once you're happy with your animation, you can go here and hit play. And as you can see, we have our dancing elf. And for the sake of simplicity, I was pretty happy with it. I could set this to repeat, and of course it will continue to repeat the animation. Sit back and enjoy. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to export this into a format that Unreal Engine will understand. So when you're creating a sprite in Unreal Engine, specifically something that's animated like a GIF, we're going to want to turn it into a set of sequence files, and that way within Unreal Engine we can create a flipbook and then a sprite, which we will then pull into our scene. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Oh, and make sure that your background is turned off. That way you don't have a white or a black background layer that's kind of like an artifact in your scene. And I'll show you more about that here in a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to go to File, and we're going to go to Export Animation, and we're going to choose Image Sequence. And in our settings, for our export, we're going to want to make sure that we have PNG selected. PNGs work the best, in my opinion, with Unreal Engine. And for our height or our width, we're going to want to create a backstop of 1024. So 1024 is a decent file size for our images so that when we bring them into Unreal Engine, we're not using a lot of resources that we don't necessarily need. So we have to kind of be efficient with the memory space that we have. Okay, when I'm happy with that, I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to start the export process. And it's also good to know where you're exporting to. I just tend to export right to my documents file, but I think in the future, I'll probably create project folders for these so that I don't start mixing up my projects with each other. Okay, so it's done. And now we'll switch back over to Unreal. Okay, here we are inside of Unreal Engine, and this is the basic scene that I started working with. I've got the candy canes that I created a couple weeks ago that I imported in, and these are just imported in as sprites by themselves. And then I've also got a little bit of a particle field to give it like a snowy magical effect. Now we're gonna add our GIF. So I'm gonna go to my content drawer, and I have a folder that I've called imported art. So what I called it, and then underneath that, I've got the folder for that particular asset that I'm using. So, I'm just gonna create a new folder here. New folder, and we'll call this dance. Oops, and you can't have space to your file names in Unreal Engine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my file manager here. I'm going to go into my documents. Okay, and here are all of my PNG images that I exported. So I'm just going to go all the way down here, select them all. I'm going to drag them all into my Unreal Engine. And you can see that they are populating. I'm just going to let that finish. Depending on your system, this could be faster or slower. We're going to take our imported PNGs, we're going to hit Control A, and we're going to right click, and we're going to go to Sprite Actions, and we want to create a sprite. Okay, so now you see that we have basically made a copy of all of our images, and you see how it has that blue kind of that means that it's a PNG file. So now we want to go, we want to select all of just these blue guys, like that. And then we're going to right click, and under Sprite Actions at the very top, create flipbook. And we'll call it, oops, hit enter. And we'll just lower our content drawer. Go. And the last step is we just take our finished GIF and we drag it where we want it, and And now once we have our new GIF inside of the scene, we can go down to the properties and then change the size to whatever you need. You can type them in manually, or you can use the little arrows. But I think this is really cool. There's the dancing elf, and as I create more assets, then I'll slowly kind of build out this little Christmas land that I'm working on. And that wraps up our tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed how we've been combining Clip Studio Paint with Unreal Engine 7, 5.7, and I think it's pretty easy to do. You do have to pay attention to like what your system resources are, because even as I recorded this video, it used a lot of extra RAM that got a little angry with me as I was recording this. Uh, but hey, if you like creating your own assets and you like to work with 3D, I think Clip Studio Paint and Unreal Engine is a great combination. So please remember to like this video and subscribe to see more. And let me know in the comments if there's something that you think could be done better. Because I'm always interested in new ways to work with software, and especially art software. And have a great day.